All right, guys, we're going to give this a shot. I know it might not be the same without me there, but hopefully we can still make sure that we're understanding this stuff and learn some new things, okay? So let's go ahead and take a look. This part is review, okay? This is what we know so far. We know that these fractions are the same. Let's go ahead and label the first one. This fraction, we've got one shaded out of two parts total. That's 1/2. So we're going to make an equivalent fraction by drawing more lines, and we're also going to multiply here. Okay? So one thing I have to make sure to remember to do is I can't just draw a line any random place. I need to make sure that all the pieces are still the same size. So now this piece is smaller than that piece, so that line's not going to work. But if I draw a line here, all of my pieces are the same size, so this is a fraction that we could try. Okay, so I'm going to count this one. This is 1, 2, out of 1, 2, 3, 4. So this fraction is 2/4. And remember, a way to check is if I can multiply by the same number with the numerators and the denominator, that lets me know that these fractions are equivalent. So let's see, 1 times blank is 2. I think that's 2. And 2 times blank is 4. That's also 2. So if I get the same number for both multipliers, I know that 1/2 is equivalent to 2/4. Let's take a look at another one. Remember, we're going to find an equivalent fraction by drawing more lines, and we're going to multiply. Okay. So I cannot draw a line just here because these pieces are uneven. But if I draw one here, I can get a little bit closer to even. Okay. Now let's see what this gives me. Starting out, we had 2 out of 3, so it's 2/3 were shaded. Now let's look here. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 6 out of 9, so 6/9 is our new fraction. Okay? So I think right now that 2/3 is equivalent to 6/9. Let's check by multiplying. 2 times blank is 6. Well, I think that's 3. And 3 times blank is 9. I know that's 3. So since I got the same number on top and bottom, I know that this is correct, that 2/3 is equivalent to 6/9. Maybe pause the video here for a second and talk to each other about what else do you think you could split 2/3 up into as another fraction that could be equivalent? We know we got 6/9. Stop here and talk. Can you guys come up with any other fractions that you could get that are equivalent to 2/3? All right, let's take a look at this one. Now remember, another thing that we talked about just yesterday is that we can, instead of drawing more lines, we're going to draw fewer lines, and we're going to divide to check. Okay? Now my original fraction, I'll go ahead and write this. Right now, it's 2 out of 4. Okay, so I know 2/4 are shaded. Okay? So I'm going to come over here and look at my other fraction and think, well, are there any of these lines that are not as important, not essential, that I could get rid of, but still keep things the same size? Now I know I can't get rid of this line. This line has to stay, because then the shaded part would mix in with the unshaded and it wouldn't be a correct fraction anymore. But I think maybe I can get rid of this line. Now I know this is still not a correct fraction yet because this side is way bigger than each of these pieces. But if I get rid of this line, now they're both even. I think my new fraction is 1/2, or 1/2. I didn't erase any of the shaded area. I didn't draw any more. These are still the same amount shaded. Now let me make sure that I can divide correctly and make sure 2/4 is equal to 1/2. 2 divided by blank is 1. Okay, I think that's 2. And 4 divided by blank is 2. That's also 2. Okay, so we're correct, and we just found out 2/4 is equivalent to 1/2. So remember, we're starting with the larger numbers in the fraction and dividing to get a smaller fraction. But that fraction still represents the same amount. Okay, let's take a look at another one for review. I'm going to go ahead and write my original fraction that I see over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 6 shaded out of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So we got 6/15. Now I'm going to come over to this side and look and see what lines do I think I might be able to get rid of. Now I know I have to keep this line because it separates the shaded and the unshaded, which means I should probably keep some of the other vertical lines. So maybe I can get rid of a horizontal line. Okay, now that is leaving this section to be smaller, so maybe I can get rid of this one. I see that each bar is the same size, so I think this is a correct fraction. I know I didn't shade any more, so I think it's equivalent, let's find out what it is. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 out of 5, so it's 2/5. So I think 6/15 is equivalent to 2/5. Let's check to see if the division works. 6 divided by blank is 2. That's 3. And 15 divided by blank is 5. That's also 3. So we know we're correct, and 6/15 is equivalent to 2/5. All right, now this is the thing that's going to be new, so we're going to take a look at it. Some of this stuff we've already done, okay? So let's go ahead and get started with what we know. This fraction is 4 over 8. 4/8. Now, let's go ahead and pause for a second. When we pause, I'm going to ask you to talk and figure out what does this 4/8 reduce into. If I get rid of some of these lines, which ones can we get rid of? And what fraction do you think that's going to turn into? Go ahead and pause the video and let's check and see. Okay, so let's see which lines we can get rid of. I know I have to keep this one. I think that one could probably go, and this one could probably go right here. This center line we can get rid of. I know this one needs to go because these pieces are smaller. Okay, so I think my new fraction is going to be 1/2. All right, so I think these are equivalent. Let's check by dividing. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 8 divided by 4 is 2. These are the same. So we know 4/8 is equivalent to 1/2. Okay, now we're going to add the part with the number line. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I know this number line is working with 8s. It should be the same fraction that we started with up top. And I know that this represents the same as this because I have 4/8 on the number line and 4/8 in the original fraction. So what we're going to try and do is think, what or which tick marks can I kind of erase or get rid of to try and turn it's 4/8 right now, I want to turn it into 1/2. So let's take a look. I know I'm going to have to keep this line and this line. I have to keep this because it's where the point is. I think maybe we can get rid of these. And these on this side. Now, did I move this point at all? It's still in the same place, so I know my fraction hasn't changed, just the numbers that I'm using to represent it have changed. So 0, 1, 2. So that tells me this is 0/2, this is 1/2, and here's 2/2. So I know we just figured out that 4/8 on a number line is equivalent to 1/2. Okay, let's take a look at another problem here. Go ahead and write the original fraction. You guys can write this down. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 4/12. That's the fraction we have right now, 4/12. So I want you to pause and predict what lines do you think we can get rid of here to come up with an equivalent fraction to 4/12. I can't erase any of the shaded part. I can't shade anymore. I can only change what lines I have. So go ahead and pause and talk. All right, so now if I'm just thinking about it, I know I have to keep this line because it separates the shaded from the unshaded, which means I probably also have to keep this line because otherwise the pieces would be uneven. So I'm going to try and get rid of my horizontal lines and see how that looks. Okay, each column's the same size. I still have the same amount shaded, so I think this is an equivalent fraction. And now just counting it, I can see it's 1/3. Let's check by dividing. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 12 divided by 4 is 3. Those match. So that tells me 4/12 is equivalent to 1/3. These are equivalent. Okay. So now I'm going to see if I can get the number lines to do the same thing. I'll go ahead and label this first one. Got 0/12, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12. Okay. Now, I'm going to see what lines I think I can get rid of on the bottom to try and keep the same amount, or keep my point in the same place. I know I only want to end up with 3 sections, so I think it might be something like 1 jump, 2 jumps, 3 jumps. So we'll see if we can get rid of those lines. So I think that's going to be about the size of a space. So it looked like I got rid of 3. And so if we're going to have 1, 2, this will be the third one, so I can get rid of these. Okay, so let's label and see if these match up. 0 thirds, 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. Okay, now look right here, this is important. Earlier we said that 4/12 is equivalent to 1/3, so we're going to check here, and I can see that 4/12 is equivalent to 1/3 because these are right on top of each other, which means they are the same distance, they're the same length, those fractions are equivalent on the number line. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at this problem. First thing always when we're working with these equivalents is we're going to start by writing the original fraction. So let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4 are shaded. 5, 6 out of 6. So we know the original is 4/6. Okay? So what you're going to try to do is draw this same amount, is shade this same size, but have fewer lines, fewer cuts, fewer partitions. Okay? So go ahead and give that a shot. I'll start mine up here. Okay, so that looked like that worked. I have the same amount shaded, so I'm counting that new fraction looks like it's 2/3. So, and how do we check this? Oh, that's right, we need to divide. Okay, so let's see if we get the same number on top and bottom. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. That works, so that means these are equivalent. Okay? So this is my original number line. I'll go ahead and label this. Remember, it needs to be 4/6. So that's 0/6, 2/6, 4/6, and 6/6. Okay? So I want my new number line to be 2/3, and I want to show 2/3 being equivalent to 4/6, which means that wherever I put 2/3, I want it to be right in the same spot as 4/6, because I know they're equivalent, so I'm just going to show it one more way. So we'll make a tick mark here, one here. I want thirds, so let's check. 1, 2, 3. I've got 3 parts. So let's label them. 0/3, 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. And my point should be on 2/3, so here it is. And I've just shown you 4/6 is equivalent to 2/3 in pictures, numbers, and number lines. Okay, let's go ahead and write the original fraction for number 2. 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 3/9. Okay, so in a second, I'm going to ask you to pause the video and see if you can come up with the new picture and the new fraction on your own. So after you pause it, mine's going to pop up in just a second. Okay, I got rid of some of my divisions. I ended up with 1/3. I'm checking it with division. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 9 divided by 3 is 3. I now know for sure that 3/9 is equivalent to 1/3. Let's make it match with the number line. So it's going to be 0/9, 1, 2, 3/9, 4, 5, 6/9, 7, 8, 9/9. Okay? So I want my new number line to match 1/3. So it's going to be 0/3, 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. All right, and my point is to be at 1/3. Okay, so we just showed it 3 ways. In pictures, numbers, and number lines, 3/9 is equivalent to 1/3. Okay, I want you guys to go ahead and start this problem on your own, and in about 10 seconds, my answers are going to pop up. Okay, y'all should have been able to figure all of that out on your own. Now we're just going to do the last part together. I want 2/8 to match 1/4. So I'm going to have 0/4, 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and 4/4. And I want my point on 1/4. So here we are, 2/8 equivalent to 1/4. All right, last one. Go ahead and start it. My answers are coming in just a second. Okay, you should have all that. We'll do the last part together. We want 2/4 to equal 1/2, so we want 2/4 to equal 1/2. 0/2, 1/2, 2/2, and here's my point. So 2/4 is equal to 1/2 in pictures, numbers, and number lines. Okay, go back, pause, replay any parts of the video you need, and just do it as much as you need to until you make sure that you've got it.